Good evening, everyone. Today is Tuesday, October 7th, 2025. Welcome. I'm Jeffrey Morgan, and this is a talk I host twice a week to discuss my experiences on the path of soul transcendence. I offer this work with the encouragement and support of my friend John Morton, who holds the mystical traveler consciousness, which is the spiritual consciousness that allows us to do the work that we're doing here today. And this is an offering made possible and through the movement of spiritual inner awareness. Now, if you're new to the call, the format is simple. We're going to start by calling ourselves forward into the light, which is calling our awareness forward into the light of God that's already present. And then we're going to chant 3 Anai hues. Hue is an ancient name for God, and Anai invokes a quality of empathy and compassion. Then I'm going to play a video clip from my teacher, John Roger. And then I'm going to do a reading from Khalil Gibran. And then we can talk about whatever you would like. So I'd like to ask my friend Ron Holnick if he'll call us forward into the light. And then we'll chant some Anai hues.
My delight. Lord God of all creation, we come before you at this time where challenges and negativity seem to be in great abundance. And we say, Lord, thank you for assisting us in seeing clearly and realizing that our only real challenge is to maintain ourselves within our loving nature and share that awareness wherever and with whomever we go. So be it.
How can I come into awareness of being at one with God?
That's it.
God is awareness. So the more we become aware of everything around us, and especially that is around inside of us, from about the chin down to the pubic bone, that's on all human beings, you will then find the generalized vibrational section is called the kingdom of heaven, which is within, that Jesus the Lord referred to in the Bible. So awareness is like if you're coming to an intersection and you know there's a red light and a green light there, you don't just start walking across the road until you look to see which way the cars are going. That's part of being aware. And you take that idea and you put it inside of you and watch the food you eat, the way you think, the thoughts that you hold in your mind as you eat, how you want that nutrition to go into your body, how the vibration of spirit is to utilize it. And basically be loving towards that you are doing and towards yourself. you will be in the presence of God after you've done that. So you may not have an awareness of God, and it's hard to separate yourself out from God because God is omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent. It's hard to find yourself separate and know something that is as big as God. So one thing we do is we can tell by the altitude of our attitude and the loving that we have for all people. As soon as we curse one, we've cursed ourselves. And so it's really best to say nothing and produce loving.
All right. So this is on self-knowledge from The Prophet by Khalil Gibran. On self-knowledge. And a man said, "Speak to us of self-knowledge." And he answered, saying, "Your hearts know in silence the secrets of the days and the nights. But your ears thirst for the sound of your heart's knowledge. You would know in words that which you have always known in thought. You would touch with your fingers the naked body of your dreams. And it is well you should. The hidden wellspring of your soul must needs rise and run murmuring to the sea. And the treasure of your infinite depths would be revealed to your eyes. But let there be no scales to weigh your unknown treasure. And seek not the depths of your knowledge with staff or sounding line. For self is a sea boundless and measureless. Say not, I have found the truth, but rather, I have found a truth. Say not, I have found the path of the soul. Say rather, I have met the soul walking upon my path. For the soul walks upon all paths. The soul walks not upon a line, neither does it grow like a reed. The soul unfolds itself like a lotus of countless petals. Well, okay then. We already have some people who want to share. So, Elizabeth. I think I asked you, and you'd have to. Oh, there
I
you go.
got it.
Wonderful.
Hi. I have I've gotten myself to the place where physically and mentally I'm not able to do what I actually have to do financially in order to stay living where I am with services that I have. And I just my brain has had like 4 different assaults in the last few years, and it doesn't function the way I really need to have it function in order for me to do the task that I have to do. And my pattern for a long time has been to have some kind of trauma or really significant problem in life. And then I learned tremendous amount from it. And I've got lots of growth. Been doing this for over half my life. And I'm to the point where I I feel like there's a decision, not a decision, but like I'm at I don't know, place in the road where I'm either going to leave the planet or keep going the way I am, or somehow get it better. I'm at the point where things that I've been working on physically for decades and growing, but I'm to the point where um, like it's hard. I'm not able to really swallow very well. It's hard for me to eat, I've had got a brain concussion, and I know I'm rambling, but this is the way my thoughts are going these days. It's my I've had like I don't know, two or three concussions. Um, I have a hard time focusing and getting anything done. And when it looks like I am going to get something done, it's like there'll be another problem or a deadline that I have to meet, and then I'm just not being effective at all. And and I'm scared. My spine is I have very little cartilage and bone. It's like my um, spine is really in danger of collapsing with some of the vertebrae have already gone over, slid over on top of the other ones. Um, and then I fell last week and my back is hurting. It's like things are not going well in some ways. And then I move into these places and spiritually where I know all is fine. And I'm great, I really feel this, the spiritual um, living with me, being me. And I feel really supported spiritually and by members, like people right here. So it's like I kind of don't know what to do. And I want it better. And if there's anything I can do to release the karma or to find out psychologically, the stuff that my patterns, I want to do it. And I told Spirit quite a while, about a year ago, I guess, that I wanted to work out as much karma as I could before I left. I thought, that was not a great idea to do that. So, 'cause, I mean, I just to a place where I can't take it anymore. I'm overwhelmed, and I want it better. I want my life to be better at this point. Because if I don't get these financial things taken care of, then I won't be able to afford where I'm living. Anyway, that's my story.
It's quite a story.
Mm.
You know, what you're walking through sounds very, very uncomfortable. And what makes it all the more difficult for you is the words that you're saying about it and the way that you're relating to it. So, what I heard you say, just to reflect back to you, and maybe I could play the how I would hear it if I was like you inside of you and I was listening to the words that you said. You talk a lot about how things aren't working or things aren't the way they should be, and I'm not able to do the things I need to do. That to me is the telltale signs of a mind that seeks to control what it cannot. Your body is going to do the things that it needs to do to complete its karma. But what you just said to your body is, I don't like you and I don't like what you're doing. And part of you heard that. So, again, I'm not understating and I'm not in any way implying that what you're going through is easy. It's very easy and it's very obvious for most humans to think of grace as, oh, well, maybe the clouds will part and all these physical challenges will go away, or my mind will clear up, or the money in my bank account will increase. There is infinite possibility within the field of God, and it is possible, but I don't relate to that as grace consciousness.
Mm.
What I relate to as grace consciousness is more what you were talking about, where in the midst of the physical discomfort you're going through, you're experiencing these deep mystical experiences of closeness and intimacy to the divine. And you're experiencing that. And you're so close and intimate with the divine. When you asked for eating more karma, the divine obliged you and allowed you to eat more karma. And you're never going to be given, I know it's funny, and you're never going to be given anything you can't handle. So it's actually untrue when you say, I can't do the things I need to do. That's not true. It's not true that you say that. You may not be able to do the things that you perceive are required of you by your agreements, or you may not be able to physically do the things you would prefer to be able to do. But actually, what it is that you're going through and the things that you're doing are essentially perfect. You just don't like them that way. Everything you're going through is perfectly orchestrated for your upliftment, growth, and learning. You just don't find it very comfortable. So a lot of this is about attitude. And again, I'm not saying that any of this is easy, but maybe you could try just an experiment that you're only going to say positive things about yourself for an entire day and just see how you feel physically. And actually, make it even more ambitious. You're only going to say positive things for one day. So you're not even going to criticize the quality of the food you were served or the thing that the person did. You're just going to be real positive and honoring and thankful to your body for breathing you, for keeping things going. You'll put your hand on your heart and you'll say, thank you, beloved, for taking such good care of us. You see? Even as I said that, it's like the energy started to amplify around you. There are actual tools where you can kind of measure the magnetic or pranic field of a person. I was playing with one the other night, and sometimes it's like people will hold a certain crystal and their magnetic field will expand. It's pretty cool. So you can see it and you can measure it, but then you get the same effect if you start saying positive affirmations. You get the same effect if you start saying, I'm loved, God loves me, I'm protected, I'm so proud of me, I'm able to get out of bed today. That was a big deal. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, me. We did it. And it's like your energy just starts to expand. Whatever idea you have that's running you of how you're supposed to think or how you're supposed to function is not serving you. Part of your mental capacity is being occupied by this argument that you have going with reality, where you think you should be different than you are. And I'm going to throw out a guess. Probably I'm wrong, but I'll just throw it out there. You probably had that argument going long before you dealt with the physical and cognitive decline recently. I,
Yeah.
I would bet that this is a pattern that you've run on yourself for a lot of years called I think I should be different than I am.
Used to be much worse.
Yeah, yeah.
Really, so
So what I would suggest is maybe the prayer is something like, Lord, if you can somehow alleviate this, I'm open to that. And if not, please assist me in becoming more aware of the inherent power and authority I have as a spiritual being so that I can walk through this with grace and ease.
that's
Or,
good.
Lord, let me see this as you see this so that I can see the perfection and love it as it is and walk through it with grace and ease. you don't need to change a thing about yourself to be good enough. But your mind keeps running that same pattern. And it's like you tried running that pattern when you were physically capable and getting all your stuff done and on top of things and being reliable. And now you're trying to run that pattern where you're dealing with physical and cognitive decline. And it's the same pattern and it still doesn't work. And it's a habit pattern. And you can start to go back to the beginning of when did I do that? And when did I put that in place? In your particular case, self-criticism became somehow entangled with feeling loved and accepted in your family. So self-criticism became something like a way that you create belonging and safety inside of you. And it seems a bit twisted. How could self-criticism do that? Except that in some families and in some environments, that can be like a way of creating belonging, a way of creating connection.
When I was a toddler, I remember making a decision that no one was going to take care of me, so I had to do it myself.
Yeah.
And I had to keep myself alive. And I've done that. I'm 90. I figure that I've accomplished that one. um, but what I did is, of course, the job was too big. And so I had to criticize myself to get myself to do what I needed to do.
So how are you going to repattern that? That's what I was saying. Maybe take a day where you give yourself a break from the criticism thing.
Actually, I've done that at times. But when I go down, then it's a challenge to get back to that space where I
The
can really
second,
feel that.
the second aspect of taking a diet from the self-criticism is
Mhm.
claiming the opposite of the belief that you imprinted and then reinforced in your life. So take a diet from self-criticism while at the same time throughout the day exclaiming, "Thank you, Lord, for taking care of me today. You're always there for me. Thank you, Lord. You're doing such a wonderful job of taking care of me. I have all the energy and all the knowing and all everything that I need to do the things that I need to do. Thank you, Lord, for taking care of me." Do you
Yeah.
understand?
Oh, absolutely.
So you got to just repattern it by acting as if, and the part of you that was listening to you just now saying all that negative stuff about your life. And it's not, look, I'm not trying to censor you or get you to edit yourself. That's another self-judgment thing that you do. But I'm not talking about that. I'm okay with you doing all of that. It's just there were a lot of assumptions that you're making that are quite negative towards yourself and the way you tell the story. Now, if you were to tell the story just saying, "I'm really having a difficult time. My body's doing this. I have trouble thinking, and I'm really nervous because I don't know how to get my mind to do the things that I feel like I need to be doing as far as my agreements." That's different than what I heard you say. You see, one's preference and the other's judgment. One is just saying, "I'm very, very uncomfortable with how things are," which is beautiful and honest. And the other was making declarations about who you are and what you're not able to do. And underneath the whole thing is like that, not good enough, got to try harder, not good enough, got to do better. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I do. I get so frustrated.
Yeah,
I spend the whole day trying to get even one simple thing accomplished. Not things that I want to do, like go outside and take a walk, but put figures together and try to
yeah.
make them match each other so I can get my, you know.
See, I
um,
would take that one thing that you do that day and I would celebrate. If that's the one thing that you did that day, It was the most important thing you've ever done in your life, and only you could do it. And you did such a good job, and thank you, Lord, for your support. We got it done together.
Even if it's day after day where I work on it and I don't get anything
What
done.
whatever it is you do that day is worthy of celebration.
Okay.
Whatever you manage to do, even if it's get out of bed and go to the bathroom, it's worthy of celebration.
Okay.
You see what I'm trying? I'm
Yeah.
trying. You've got a pattern that has served you up until the point where your body started functioning differently and you started entering a new cycle of aging. And then if it ever worked for you, I would argue that it didn't work for you, but it did get you results in the world because you were able to create a sense of urgency and you were able to push yourself to get stuff done in a quote unquote positive way in terms of the mind.
Mhm.
Now, because you're real stubborn about that, you're now in a position where you're forced to address this. And thank God. So you're not going to have to die with this pattern. You're going to break it now. And the way you're going to break it is you're going to pattern in deep gratitude for yourself and every little thing that you do. And you're going to bring in all the loving that you were seeking through all of that self criticism. You're going to give it to yourself lavishly and you're going to honor yourself for every little thing that you do. I mean, my goodness, if I'm still around at 90, I'm sure as hell going to celebrate even getting out of bed. I mean, look at you, you're on a Zoom call and you're courageous enough to talk in front of 240 people. And you're sharing honestly and you're sharing openly, you're sharing vulnerably. We should all hope to be like you when we grow up. You you don't need your life to change to love and honor yourself. You only need to take those steps.
When it's being recorded, I'm going to record that statement that you suggested that I use every day. I thought it was good. I loved it.
Well, let's just start now. I love you, Elizabeth. You're doing so great. That's what you said.
Well, I do.
Just say, I love you, Elizabeth. You're doing
Oh,
so
I love
great.
you, Elizabeth. Elizabeth has done great.
You did
I
so
am
great
I
today.
am proud of being like where did not only did I make it, as I went past. I'm doing good.
And
So,
you may find that as you start to repattern this, some of the challenges you're facing in your body and your mind start to alleviate. Judgment, whether we judge another person or ourselves, is always a self inflicted wound. And the net result is we are bound and constricted by that judgment.
and the key for me is to pay attention when I feel frustrated, especially. And turn it around.
Yeah, and I think it's the moment you feel frustrated is the moment for you to celebrate yourself.
Yeah.
The moment you feel frustrated is the moment when you get to acknowledge you're doing so great.
So this is well with my ability to do. I've done. Thank God for all I've gotten from traveling. It's prepared the foundation for me.
Of course.
Like,
You've probably been preparing your entire life for the mastership you're about to learn. All right. God bless you, Elizabeth.
Thank you so much. Every day after I attend one of the, I'm so positive. So I get to a place where I can hold that all week instead of just a couple of days.
Yeah, and it's like have a sense of humor about it, or even find a reference point as something that always makes you laugh and kind of shakes you out of the lowness. Maybe there's a really inappropriate joke that just gets you going every time you hear it. You just tell it to yourself. You just need a pattern interrupt.
Mhm. I've been listening to one of the meditation tapes or the other things,
What did
especially
you say?
when I wake up in the middle of the night.
Oh yeah, listening to any media by John Roger for me is like always medicine.
Right.
But I think this is also a moment for you to fall in love with your body and all the ways that she has aged beautifully, and the way that she moves, the way that she lays down and stands up, the way that she holds you upright.
I do a funny dance in front of the mirror sometimes in my faces and say, you know, not bad for 90.
Exactly.
I decided that I would be a funny old lady. I do appreciate my face and all the ways it's so different than it used to be. And I just laugh and say, don't say anything about that my looks because this is what a 90-year-old lady looks like. Get over it.
Beautiful. All right. God bless you.
Thank you.
Okay, Terry Joe.
Hi, Jeffrey and everyone. Two things. One, I want to request light. I have a surgery on Thursday morning, a full abdominal hysterectomy. Um, I haven't had a surgery in 50 years since I was 9 years old and had a hernia.
Mm.
And I'm feeling okay about it. I mean, there's definitely has been a lot of worry up in the beginning, like trying to control and wanting to find the perfect doctor and finding something wrong with every doctor I went to. And it was just really like intense for a couple weeks. And then I just went with the first doctor I went to because it just felt right. I knew I was creating a problem. And so I definitely want to ask for light on that. But the other thing is something you said, it was in one of your talks in September, blew my mind because I had actually already had the thought that that's what I did. You said to someone when you were working with them that the basic self can often set up something in the body, to put like what I was saying to myself was I feel like this is a repository because there's a cantaloupe size fibroid there. That's why I'm having the hysterectomy. That's what they found after an emergency situation. I had to be in the hospital. And I had this thought that that's like a holding space or a repository for all my judgment and my anger. And it's particularly toward, it feels like the patriarchy, male, women carrying a heavier load, unfairness, all the things that Terry Jo has thought for most of her life. And they've been fully activated in the last year. Like it to the point that like I almost knew that that stuff had to go somewhere and I was frustrated because I didn't know where to put it. And freeform writing didn't touch it. Like it was so big and so much. And so when you said that, I was like, oh my God, like we can do that. And so I sense that. So here's my question. I'm holding that it's going to be pulling all this out and it's going to be a beautiful blessing for me. My fear or my want, my question or want is, ask is, how do I not build that up again? Because I can't guarantee, like, I don't watch the news. I read Heather Cox Richardson. That's it. I don't want to not pay attention to what's going on. It doesn't feel aligned for me. It feels actually like a betrayal to me. So I read that, but it does still get me. Not as much, but it still gets me like, oh my God, how could they do it? This is terrible. And not even hatred or anything towards them, more it's not fair and this is scary and heartbreaking. And there was anger, of course. Like how dare they? But not targeting like what a jerk. Well, maybe there's a little bit of that. I'm trying to act like I'm so spiritual. But anyway, so that's my question is what do I do? Because I want to use this all like for my highest good and then carry forward in like a whole new way.
Well, firstly, I have seen that before, what you're talking about, where the basic self will have a lot of conflicting directives. If
Hmm.
you think about it, anaphylactic shock killing you or something is a conflicting directive because on the one hand, the body is trying to protect you from a toxin, and on the other hand, it closes up your airway so you die. So it's like the cure becomes the poison in a way.
Hmm.
And what you're saying for me feels pretty on as far as concentrating it in that area. It's like our poor basic selves they don't know what to do with all that energy. Like, where do I put it?
Hmm.
And oftentimes, what'll happen is somebody will take in a toxin. Like, I've seen emotions trapped for a really long time in the spinal cord because the person had the emotional experience while they were smoking weed or something. So it seeped into the spinal cord and became very, very hard to release.
Mm.
So sometimes if there's an environmental component, the memory of the energy will actually combine with the chemical that'll, sometimes it'll seep into different tissues in the body. So I've seen all that. And so what you're saying is right. The short answer is, how do I not recreate it? There's some complexity to it. So one is greater neutrality in your conscious level in terms of maintaining that equanimity. And when you see that something upsets you, you get to the bottom of it and you get back to neutrality. So it's like a constant returning to peace. Now, I'm not saying to be perfect or to try and control it or maintain it that way. It's more like you have a very opportunistic and curious consciousness that when you notice something triggers you, instead of going into the story of it, you go, wow, that really triggered me. Let's
Mm.
work it. Let's work on it. So you become, in a sense, the healer of your own consciousness, and you start to work that process within. The reason I say it's complicated is because we have Sanchit karma, which are like all the karmas that you accumulate all over the place on all the different levels that we exist. And then you have um, pralapta karma, where it's the karma, the specific destiny karmas and important things that you agreed to complete in this lifetime, which could include something like a disease. And then you have Kriyaman, which is all about your decision making and your actions right now. So if you look at the different types of karma, some of what you experience is going to be essentially memory patterns that your basic self, that your consciousness is going to serve up to you so that you can complete the karmas from the past.
Mm.
And so the tricky part is sometimes we're going to get pissed off and we're going to get angry and we're going to have these crazy thoughts and we're going to do all this stuff. And it will actually have nothing to do with here and now. Now, the mind is really good at going, oh, this karma surfaced. now I'm going to find a really good reason. I feel pissed off, therefore I'm going to find a really good reason to feel pissed off in the news, or I'm going to find a really good reason to feel pissed off in my bank account, or I have a really good fill in the blank. The mind is going to find a way for what you feel to causally relate to the story that you've mocked up of your life. So it's coming at multiple angles is my point. The other the other source of this, when you're talking about emotions and stuff like that, is things that you pick up in the environment. So you may tie into a matrix or psychic matrix or shared unconscious of a group of people or something like that, and you'll pick up on their upset because of your association or your engagement with that energy field. And you go, well, shoot, that's three different angles that the stuff's coming in. What do I do? Well, what you do is you let it surface. And as it surfaces, whether it surfaces from things you think you perceive physically, or whether it surfaces from memory from this life or a past life, or whether it surfaces from anyone that you're tying into, or any organization, or any geography, or any of that, as soon as it comes forward, you do your process of forgiveness and loving and washing the light through your consciousness so that it becomes neutral and peaceful again. It's like you don't you don't invest in it, you don't argue with it. It's like there's crumbs on the table, so you wipe them up. It's not, it doesn't have to be as complicated in that way. And my experience of a lot of the energetic dynamics is they don't make causal sense. They don't actually make sense. The way that things actually work in the consciousness is not that linear and not that logical.
But
So,
can I
yeah.
ask something though? Because I'm having a block right now while you're talking. Because like to try to say like it's because of influence of something, a group consciousness or my past karma or whatever. And I'm looking at the reality that they're zip tying children, ripping them from their families and zip tying children. Like to me, that doesn't compute in my brain that that's something I'm trying to clear. It's wrong. Like that's literally what I see. They're hurting people. And you could say it's God's plan. I could go there with that. Maybe they have karma to complete, but I can't connect this to it's my karma. I'm seeing it because it's something in my karma. I'm actually seeing it. It's a reality. So you see what I'm saying? Like why this is hard for me?
I can see exactly why it's hard for you.
Yeah.
You take in 14 million bits of information into your body in terms of the senses, and you consciously process 14. They have run neurological experiments, and it has been shown that most of what you see is what your story and belief anticipate you should see. Most of what you experience is what your story and beliefs anticipate you should experience. And all of that is informed by history. All of that is informed by the psychic genetic level. All of that is informed by your family. So, what you see to a large extent, like I hear what you're saying as far as seeing stuff on the television or hearing about the zip tied children or any of that stuff. I'm not saying any of that's okay. I'm offering you more of a way to work with the ecology of your own consciousness because ultimately you're not really able to help them or anyone else if you're creating illness inside of yourself by having a lack of peace and stress inside of you in relation to it.
I get
So,
that.
so what I'm offering is simply a very simple mentality when it comes to the ecology of the inner consciousness.
Mhm.
What you ultimately do, if you want to go pick it, if you want to do all those things, you can do all of those things in complete peace and serenity inside of you.
Mhm.
You can go liberate them. If
Mhm.
maybe you do a covert operation and go do, you can still have peace inside of you. No, I know. I don't like when children get hurt also.
Yeah.
And I also am aware that they might grow up and become great politicians that make sure that doesn't happen to other kids. They might, there's always this
Yeah.
opportunity for growth and learning for all souls and all of those situations they find themselves. So, look, I'm not saying we should condone harm in the world.
Yeah.
What I'm suggesting is the only one you are harming with your thoughts and your emotions is
Amen.
yourself.
Amen. Okay, got it.
So,
I got that. Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
so the way to not recreate what you're talking about, because what, again, this is all about your truth. This is all about your uh, inner exploration. But I
Mhm.
will say that what you said at the very beginning, it rang for me. So I was
Mhm.
like, wow, I think she's onto something. There was some energy on it.
Mhm.
Now, what I'm saying is to get to the truth, it's always this neutral, loving knowing. It's
Mhm.
peaceful.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
that knowing will tell you what is yours to do, which could be picketing, it could be covert operation, it could be any number of things. It could be
Yeah.
sending light,
Yeah.
it could be writing letters.
Yeah.
To get to that, you have to sift through and clear and release,
Yeah.
give it to the Christ,
Yeah.
all of those
Yeah.
upsetting thoughts and feelings, because ultimately, the case that you are litigating
Mm.
in the courtroom of your consciousness
Mm.
did not originate with what you saw just now.
Mm. Mm.
And you even said it, like the stuff that's going on with your body, we could go into the symbolism of it
Mhm.
happening to that part of your body.
Mhm.
And when you were talking about the patriarchy and the whole thing, it just fits too well, right? It
Mhm.
just it's just kind of ridiculous. Like it's just way too obvious, right? But yeah, so that's that again, what happens is we come in to the world with memory, with imprints, with traumas, with all this kind of stuff, beliefs built in. We learn things in the first few years of our life very, very quickly, faster than we can even imagine. And we take in and get implants and patterning and all this kind of stuff from our family that we have to then rebel against later and the whole thing. And all of that informs how we take in information. And ultimately, what we get usually is a bunch of reinforcement of those foundational things that we brought in and those foundational things that we learn, unless we choose to see things differently, unless we choose to just say, there is peace and there is that which is in my consciousness that has something other than peace.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
it's just a very like it's like a simplistic way. Like, you know me, I'm like, I love and serve the one in front of me. I can't do complex. My mind will take it over and corrupt it if I do complex. So me, simplicity is something other than peace is going on in my consciousness,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
If something other than peace is going on in my consciousness, I already know I have work to do and that it's my work. It's no one else's, because peace begins with me.
Yeah.
It's my work and no one else's. And I also know that if I'm experiencing it, it's a past karma, it's memory coming through to be experienced, right?
Yeah.
So it's my responsibility. It's my opportunity. So before I go bringing freedom to those who are imprisoned out in the world, I must at least start bringing freedom to myself.
Mm.
And if I'm perceiving imprisonment and injustice, I'm perceiving imprisonment and injustice. It's always my own imprisonment and injustice first that I perceive, because that's my reference point. It's
Mm.
like I tell people, the suffering you see in the world is always your suffering.
Mm.
If you can clear it, if you can do the forgiveness, if you can get to a place of neutrality, you will not see suffering. You will see an opportunity to serve. You will see an opportunity to love. You will simply see light that is there to
Mhm.
be sent.
Yeah, it's interesting because I feel like and this is so helpful for me. Like my parts are hearing it. There is a part of me that is so afraid of being gaslit or being spiritual bypassing. Like, but I get what you're saying because when I'm in my heart, in my loving, like I just got back from Freedom to Choose this weekend. and it's so easy for me to love there. So there is nothing anyone has ever done that I doesn't deserve my loving and compassion there.
Yeah.
And it is so clear. And so I do get that. Like when I'm in the place inside, then things I can see the things on the outside. And I guess what I have to tell that part of me that sees it is it does hurt or it's an injustice, but not really an injustice because there's learning happening. There's karma being cleared. That makes sense to me. You know what I mean? Like I have to almost acknowledge. It's like I don't want to say, no, what you're seeing is not real. It's just your projection because that feels like it dishonors the part in me, like a kid part that saw things when I was little. And people would say, you're not seeing that. Mommy and daddy are very happy. I don't want to do that to me. So I feel
Yeah,
like
see,
makes
but
sense.
you kind of just proved my point, which is you're afraid to give up the againstness because you're worried that you'll be gaslit again, like you
Yeah.
were when you were a kid.
Yeah.
So that's what's there to heal.
Yeah.
That's the first step. And my experience is when I'm in judgment with the world,
Uh-huh.
I tend to edit myself. I tend to manipulate what I say. I tend to try to be perceived in another way. When I get to that place of neutrality and loving and true acceptance,
Mhm.
I can be extremely blunt and I can
Mhm.
be very direct with people and they just feel loved.
Oh, I love
I
that.
mean, you want to talk about like
Yeah, I love
non-gaslighting. I'm like, you say people, I've had people make this comment, only you can get away with saying that to someone.
yeah, because of the
Because
love.
like I say to them and I actually have no charge on it whatsoever. I love them
Yeah.
and I love the messiness thing that I'm pointing out.
Mm,
So it's like there's no difference. I'm actually suggesting the opposite of gaslighting
mm,
because actually we gaslight ourselves when we try to convince ourselves that the world is not the way it should be
mm,
and we
mm,
try to make right and wrong where such right and wrong doesn't exist. All we have is souls doing the human experience thing. It's not good or bad, right or wrong, up
mm,
or down. It doesn't have to be. And we can become very, very adept at diagnosing what's really going on.
mm,
The way that we're manipulated to a large extent by the negative power on this planet and the way that we are tricked so often is at the level of our judgment. It's at the level of our emotionality. Then we're easy to program and reprogram and get to do whatever people want.
mm,
Why do you think there's so much outrage right now? People are very easy to manipulate when they're outraged.
mm,
I mean, that's what's going on right now. When you get neutral, you'll be able to look at the energy and go, wow,
mm,
I get what's going on. I get what these people are doing. I don't think it's right or wrong, but now I'm seeing it.
mhm,
And
mhm,
it's not what they say on the news. Maybe it's even more devious. But
mm,
even that, it's like, wow, that's really interesting. You don't
yeah.
have a judgment on it. You don't think it's wrong because ultimately you go, well, somebody had to do that karma. I'm grateful it wasn't me.
That is that. Very helpful.
I
Like
can
you
handle, I
described
can
that.
handle, I can handle mine. I had a friend one time at this one job, and she's from Argentina, and she used to always say, "Not my circus, not my monkeys."
Yeah, yeah.
She'd always say, "Not my circus, not my monkeys." I always thought that was funny.
One last thing I want to add in there. I quit smoking. I've smoked cigarettes since I was 13.
Yeah,
And I quit on September 2nd. And I'm just so proud of me because that feels huge.
huge.
Huge because the smoking was a control of my breath. And it was definitely like kind of taking over. It was just it was a control of God, so to speak, because I'm trying to control my breath. And and I feel different. Like so I hope that has something to do with my healing as well. To,
Yeah,
you know.
I think it also oftentimes when people smoke, they get that little high where they slightly disassociate. And for people, oftentimes people are attracted to smoking because they're having a very, very, let's say, violent argument with the world. They're
Hmm.
really not okay with things. So there's this whole tug of war going on, and the cigarette is like the one moment where they feel like there's a truce.
Yeah.
and it's
It's
like everything calms down and is quiet.
yeah.
I think you may be getting to a place where there doesn't need to be a war to be peace.
Mhm. Yeah.
That we can declare peace on earth right here,
Mhm.
and there doesn't need and you're not losing anything in doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. Very, very, very helpful. Yeah. I'll listen to it again before I go into surgery. Thank you.
Yeah, and obviously, I always tell people my style is before I go into surgery, I always go, okay, Spirit, if you want to take me up and do any cool like upgrades while I'm under,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Love it.
And I also, before I go under, I usually bless all the equipment in the room, like ask for light to bless the equipment in the room and the doctor. And I see the doctor bathed in light. And, you kind of, I do all that stuff before I go into surgery too.
I love that. And I want to say a shout out to Ron Holnick. I love you so much, Ron and Mary and everyone here. And you, Jeffrey, you're just amazing, amazing. What a gift you are to us. Thank you. To me.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. God bless you. All right. Makeda.
Is it possible? Oops, sorry. Can I talk on the other one that says John, Lori, and Makeda?
Yeah, if I can find it. Hold on one sec. Oh yeah. Thank you for raising your hand. That makes it easier.
Oh, thank you. Okay, great. I got Noah here. No, it's here. It's getting
Thanks.
dark. You want to say hi, Noah? Hi.
Hi, Noah.
So my question is, hi, Jeffrey. I love you.
I love you
It's
too. It's good to see you. I mean, at
nice
least
to
the
see you.
silhouette of you.
I know, right? Maybe I can put my
No, no, it's fine. It's,
okay.
you're doing your best impression of witness protection.
I can do this. It's um so my question is just like in thinking about like self-love and not just thinking about but like actually doing it um I never was really able to articulate like what felt like the kind of barrier to that, but I kind of realized it today, or at least what one of the things is. And for me, I've noticed that sometimes it feels like like I'm trying to like an effort, like I'm trying to get to something, and it reminds me of like when you really want to do something with someone else, but you're like, okay, I'm just gonna do this by myself, and it the energy kind of it's like feels like it's like backed up. So, and I definitely have had moments where it's just like in that whoa, you okay? Where it's just in that he's okay. In that authentic, like it tends to feel like that other way. Like, do you know what I mean when I say like that it's backed
Yeah.
up?
Yeah, and I think the other question is what self? Like what self is
Mm.
doing the loving and what self is being loved.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
That can be confounding at times too. It actually works better for me not to relate that way inside of me. I would look at love more like a river flowing from the city of God. And all we need to do is remove the barriers to that. It's not something like you direct your mind towards loving whatever you think the self is, because that, again, that's confounding. But what you can do is you can identify those positions, those blocks, those judgments. You release those and clear those. And what remains is always the loving that you
Mm.
are.
Yeah.
And in fact, you came into the world in a very spiritual environment in that sense. And it may be that you relate more into that non-dualistic nature where it's like God is love, lover, and beloved. So it's like there's only the beloved, meaning maybe your comfort zone or what you really are attracted to is not loving yourself, because in order to love yourself, it's almost like you have to split off from that experience of oneness, or you have to create some kind of a duality within yourself. I tend,
Yeah.
I tend to think of loving more as a being than a doing. So people talk about, I need to love myself more.
Hmm.
I think a more accurate description would be something more like, I need to work on allowing myself to be the love that I am more unabashedly and more completely in my expression. It's like you allow the loving that you are to flood into every level, layer, and aspect of your being.
How do I do that? By removing the blocks?
Certainly, removing the blocks and also just placing your attention on loving. There's no difference. I mean, experientially, to love another person is to love yourself. To judge another person is to judge yourself. We mock up a separation in there.
Mhm.
So if you just look around you at all that is lovable and go, wow, there's love in that greenhouse behind me. Oh, there's love in that barn. There's love in those goats. There's love in that little kid. You start to recognize it and it resonates as the loving that you are. If you try to mock up some kind of a relationship between you and you, to me, it's just making two-ness out of oneness. And if you
Hmm.
don't need to do that, I mean, I think the people who need to mock up the two-ness thing, usually they already have that going. There's a lot of people who really relate to themselves, inner self, as a separate person than outer person, and they have this whole like talk to themselves separate being thing going on, and that's their not they have to unwind that and work with that at the level that it is in order to get to just love is. It's like you get to this point where the only thing you can say is love is. Nothing else becomes true. And so for me, just the simple act of placing our attention starts to move the energy of our consciousness. That's why one could say the secret of soul transcendence is look only for the good that is the divine in people and things and leave the rest to God. As you recognize that which is divine, you will naturally remember more and more your own divinity. And where you place your focus, there will be your heart. So you place your heart into the divine love, and you just keep starting to identify all that is lovable and all that is beautiful and all that is divine around you, even in the seeming ugliness in the world. And what'll
Hmm.
happen is by reflection, you'll love another person and something will come like, oh, that feels like a limit. Then you clear that and then it
Hmm.
expands. I
Yeah.
also, I call that kind of those moments of wincing where you're kind of like hitting the limit of the loving that you're perceiving or hitting the limit of the loving that's expressing in your consciousness. I call that crossing the Rubicon of love, where it's like you've heard the story of like the Rubicon and Caesar and all that. Well, the
No.
idea is anyway, it's he stopped before the river and he knew that if he brought his army past the river, he'd be in violation of the law against bringing armies back into the region of Rome, and he would not be able to turn back from that decision. So for
Hmm.
me, crossing the Rubicon, and I probably bastardized that story, but crossing the Rubicon of love is pushing beyond the boundary of the level of loving that you are experiencing, pushing beyond the boundary that's set by your consciousness. And my experience is you're never the same again. You can It's like you can't unring that bell. You know what I mean? It's like you push beyond the boundary and all of a sudden
Hmm.
you can never undo that in your consciousness. And it feels incredible. It's super uncomfortable, but it's incredible. So that's what I'm saying about removing the barriers. So you look for the good in people and things around you. And then as you run up against barriers inside of you, and in my case, that's why I seek out people that I discover I have trouble loving, like I have a difficulty in just really moving naturally into the loving. I actually seek out being around them or interacting with them or getting to a place where it finally clears because I don't want that to be the limit on my loving.
How about me?
So it's very important for me. Like for me, it's just very sacred to constantly be pushing up against those limits. For me, it's like love
Mhm.
myself,
I don't know about it, so I don't
but if I'm
do
in that
anything.
level of attunement where I'm at one with the loving that is present,
Mhm.
I I don't find the need for quote unquote loving myself.
Mhm.
It all feels
Yeah.
like the same thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think for me it's like
Mhm.
I kind of try to like love myself to like stop hurting myself. Like
Yeah.
whether it's a judgment or like somebody said something to me and then I have like taken that on as true or something like that. So it's like to stop that feeling,
Yeah.
I try to like love myself and then I kind of just like fighting.
Yeah. A lot of times when we take on that kind of programming or things that come in, it's just a question of updating the consciousness and consciously releasing it, and then affirming and acknowledging the loving that we are. So it's identifying the condition that is a state of forgetfulness or separation, consciously placing the intention, asking the divinity that we are, please wash this away, clear this for the highest good of all concerned. And then I forgive
Hmm.
myself for forgetting that I'm divine. Thank you, Lord. And you acknowledge it. It starts to clear it.
I could do that. I can ask more. Like I think even just like calling in the light for myself, like when it's just because I don't do that so much. Like if it's just me in a room, like calling in the light or like or like asking, like you just said, asking for light, like for myself, like giving it to spirit rather than being like, oh no, there's that feeling I don't like. Better love it away, love it away.
Yeah, and the other
Fight it.
tricky part is when you're talking about loving it away, you're also inherently kind of making assumptions about what you think it is.
Hmm.
Sometimes because you have strong intuition, especially at the basic self level, where you'll have sensation in your body or discomfort when you feel like something's off or something, your mind is going to come up with negative thoughts and things that might have correlated to interactions you had or uncomfortable exchanges you had with people.
Hmm.
But that's not actually the root either. So it's more useful in a sense to discipline the mind and just say clear, clear, release, release. Okay, discomfort in my body. What are you trying to tell me right now?
Hmm. So
And then
separating the thoughts from the feelings in my body?
it's just don't make the assumption that your thoughts are what you're feeling in your body. Because
Okay.
sometimes it goes the other way around. Sometimes you will intuitively pick up something that is, let's say, a disturbance in the force, a disturbance in the energy, right? Your mind, it could even be, I mean, it could even be a disturbance in the Davic realms that are around the property, right? You might be tying into those, and then your mind is going to go to that last awkward conversation you had with your boss, and what did she think about this? And maybe I did, whatever. I'm just giving an example, but like is the mind has a vested interest in everything you experience fitting the narrative of your life.
Hmm.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes.
The
Yeah.
ego mind wants things to make sense and fit into the narrative that you've constructed for your life. That's one of its jobs.
Hmm.
We can exercise greater agency and discipline when we don't go that direction. And instead we go, okay, I know that I have these thoughts, but I can clear those real quick. Now, you discomfort, are you telling me something like, is there something that could be cleared in the field of energy around here? Or am I tying into somebody else's upset and insecurity? Or you get what I'm saying? You start to figure it out, like really have a dialogue with it and be a
Hmm.
bit more scientific about it. But in
Yeah.
terms of like, so your original question was more about loving yourself, and I think we addressed that. But this is, I guess, the meat of it, which is you're real hard on yourself sometimes in your head after you feel things that don't feel comfortable in your intuition or in your feelings level. So you'll have big feelings and then you'll have negative thoughts. And then you'll try and counter that by loving yourself.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
Yeah. So I would skip ahead to the part where you just go, okay, those are great negative thoughts. That's a really cool idea. I don't think that's why I'm really upset, but great idea. And then you clear that and release that. And then you dialogue with the part of you that's actually discomforted and then ask,
Mm,
how can I assist you, beloved?
yeah.
The intention is a returning to a remembrance that you are the loving that you seek. So that's the loving yourself. The loving yourself comes from reconnecting to, I am the loving that I seek. And I wouldn't, there's a temptation or a tendency for people to think that what they feel is arbitrary or to think that what they feel is fickle and only a response to thoughts. Yes, sometimes you can feel emotion in relation to thoughts. Like I've seen people talk themselves into crying. That can occur. But when you are a more intuitive and sensitive being, you should assume that nothing you feel or sense is wrong or arbitrary. It's just being presented in a language that you don't yet understand or you haven't yet decoded the message.
Okay.
It's not wrong or right. It's just a part of you trying to give you information, and then you can use that for the highest good of all concerned, which
Okay.
could just be sending the light to someone, or could just be seeing the Christ entering, clearing, and blessing something. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. I'll try it out. I'll see what I find. Thank you.
Beautiful. Okay. God bless you. Thank you.
You too, Jeffrey. Thank you. Love you.
Well, all right, everyone. Um, yes, somebody just said light to USM's in person and online New Year starting October 10th. I will actually be there, guest facilitating pieces of it. So I should probably post a link to that. let me let me post that right now. So in case anybody at the last minute feels like doing soul-centered living, it is a beautiful program, and I will be facilitating portions of it. And yeah, have a wonderful evening. God bless you. I love you. Peace be still. Blessings already are.